Neil, the race for second place is an exciting place at the moment. How much are you looking forward to going up and for this one with a huge crowd up at Pittodrie?
Well, I mean, if you tell me there's a big crowd going, then it speaks volumes for how well we're doing, you know. It's a long way to go for the game, and we're playing against a very good side. So, yeah, we're looking forward to the game, but we know how difficult Aberdeen, particularly at home, can be.
What do you make of this, the fact that such a big deal being made about the race for second this year? You see people kind of saying, well, it's kind of getting excited about something which is essentially just runners-up, but how much will it mean to you if you're able to take your team to second place?
Well, it'll be as good as winning the title. You know, we can't win the title unless we get, you know, resources on a par with Celtic or close to Celtic. So we understand that. Can we finish best of the rest? Is it exciting for our fans? Yeah, it is. Is it exciting for me and the players? Yeah, it is. Because it's our first season back and they have performed unbelievably well. So I'm not bothered about, listen, you know me, I like to win. But there has to be a realism about it. And if we can finish second, it would be an incredible achievement for a team that's just been promoted.
Still believe that you can go through these post-split games winning every single one?
That's very difficult. Listen, I never believed it at the start. I was thinking we might need 4 wins to make second spot. That might not be enough. You know, Aberdeen have won both of theirs. So, I don't know is the answer, Jamie. We'll have to, as we're doing, just taking it each game as it comes, really.
You must feel though that the momentum is just, again, ratcheting up another notch.
Well, they're finding a really good level at the minute. Now that can all flip on one game, and we know that. So it's trying to keep them in that mood and keep them in that mindset. Every game's different. Every game has its own circumstances and styles of play, and you have to try and combat, you know, each and every one. So we've done that really well so far. Obviously delighted with the Celtic performance and delighted with the performance we had last week. But they're the 2 games at home, and our home form has been unbelievable, you know, recently, and our away form has been top. You know, we've only lost 2 away from home in over a year now, and that's the Celtic and Aberdeen. So it shows how far the players and how well we've performed.
Do you think other teams now fear you? You're perhaps one of the.
I hope so. Yeah. I don't know. I can't answer that question, but I hope they do, because we've put a marker down. We've got a style of play, and we're no pushovers now. And any team that play Hibs know they're going to be in a game.
Do you think that the way you do go about it, the way that you've got that intensity, that tempo that you can play with, it perhaps puts that wee seed of fear into teams' minds, and you can have that psychological edge before you even go out? I mean, is that a big thing?
It's always good to have an edge, but I don't know if we'll have an edge over Aberdeen. I would doubt it very much. If anything, you know, they're one of the mentally stronger teams in the country, and they've proved that over the piece over the last 3 or 4 years, and they have a manager who is, you know, tops and good at getting results. So I wouldn't say we have any sort of edge over Aberdeen. In fact, they've got the advantage because they're at home. But like we sort of singled out this game as probably being the toughest one of the 5, and it looks as if it's going to remain that way.
Given what happened to Rangers at the weekend and their mental state and things like that, do you think this is now, as much as you're still 11 points with Rangers, do you think it's really now just a straight fight between yourselves and Aberdeen?
No, absolutely not. You can't write Rangers out of it. You know, they're capable of winning games, but psychologically they've been obviously damaged heavily. You know, and it's been a tumultuous week for them. So that's, you know, their issues, and they have to deal with whatever way they see fit. And I'm certainly not writing them out of the race for second place.
Do you mind if I actually just talk about the Murray sacking, what you made of that?
Yeah, scandalous. You know, scandalous the way he's been treated. But that's just my opinion. He's been sort of hung out on his own, and really, I've sort of been in that position myself at Bolton when there was no leadership or structure behind the scenes. There is a structure at Rangers, but there seems to be a lack of real genuine support. And you know, when it really got tough, you know, a lot of people turned their back on him, which I found, you know, unpalatable.
So would you, I mean, do you get in touch with him to offer your...
I spoke to him, yeah. I spoke to him this week to offer my support, and at the end of the day, Graham's a human being. People forget that. And You know, he's in a very difficult position he was put in, and even an experienced guy would find that situation very difficult. So I'll just rang him for a few words of encouragement and, you know, wished him well in whatever he decides to do.
I suppose the thing about the way he's handled himself through it, he's been very dignified the way, and
Absolutely.
it seems to be a bit harsh the way he's been treated.
Yeah, and I found it incredible that they didn't come out and speak after the game either. And, you know, it's not the way a big club should act.
Neil, can I ask you about the profile that's come on Aberdeen this season? Obviously, just after the championship, everybody will look to see how the club would do. But because of the success, is that helping you attract players for next season?
I hope so. I've not gone down that road yet. Like I said last week, you know, my only focus has been on the 5 games because I can't plan anything because I don't know what position we're going to be in. If we finish 4th, I'll not know whether we're going to be in Europe or not yet, you know, regarding the outcome of the cup final. So I can start all that after next weekend. So listen, we're not talking to anyone, we're trying to identify players that we think or we hope can make us better, but you know, that process is still ongoing and it's still a long way off.
So the position where you finish, will that dictate what budget you have to work with?
Yeah, and it might dictate the quality of player that we get as well.
Can I ask you, Stevie Mallon, somebody that's come back on your radar?
Again, you know, you can throw any name you want. You can throw Messi at me, and you can throw Dembele at me. You know, you're just going to get the straight on. So I'm not going to talk about players contracted to other clubs at the minute. I'm not going to talk about any speculation or potential targets. I mean, that Ali Crawford mentioned last week, and I said last week that I'm not prepared to talk about other players, just on the games.
Yeah, but the style of football you're playing, Neil, last week, the number of people that have spoken about that game and said if that was the way Scottish football was played every week, we would have no problems in getting people in. You haven't had problems in getting people in to watch a game. So that's the style of play that you're trying to play.
Yes.
So players, I would imagine, may look at this club and say, well, I quite fancy that.
I hope so. You know, and see the gates that we're getting and the atmosphere and, like you say, the style of play. You know, and I think anyone would enjoy playing in this team at the minute, the way they're going about their business. And I'm very, very pleased with, you know, the way they're approaching the games and their attitude during the games and the bravery in trying to play the game as, you know, what would be perceived the right way. There's many ways to skin a cat, as you know. We may not play brilliantly tomorrow or on Saturday. We may have to go there and grind out a result, but in the throes of the game, we will try and get the ball down and play and attack.
What about players that are here then, Neil? Have you made any decision about some that may move on, or indeed some of the ones who, the likes of Dylan McGeer, is there any movement there with Dylan?
Nothing on that, and nothing on players currently here leaving. So again, we've had sort of brief chats, but you know, nothing concrete. I'd like to keep the squad as close and together as possible because there's good momentum with us at the minute.
Well, you're heading for possibly 2nd place. Do you take a look down the bottom of the table, Neil? Because there's got some big games tomorrow, Partick Thistle, Ross County tomorrow. Do you have a bit of empathy for the managers who are under pressure for a different style?
Yeah, it's horrible, you know, and you know, it's a long week waiting on the game coming. You know, if you win, then you get that sense of relief for, you know, a few days, but then you start planning for the next one. If you lose, then you know your stress levels start to rise, and you go through all sorts of permutations that, you know, the next game may bring. So, and then there's obviously a lot of focus on what may or may not happen. What you got to think about is not worrying about things you can't control, and only the things that you can control. You can't think about being relegated because there's no evidence of that just yet. You know, you can worry about that if and when that eventuality comes. In the meantime, just try and focus on being positive and staying in the league.
It's great that in the next 9 days we've got so many meaningful games. Okay, Celtic won the title, but they're still going to be involved in big games against.
Yeah, I think this is the crux of the split, really. You know, where if there was no split, you know, there'd only be a few teams playing for something now. You know, whereas with the split, you know, you've still got big games in the top 6 and big games in the bottom 6. Doesn't always happen every season, but certainly this season with the league being as competitive as it's been and as close as it's been, then we're seeing a lot of excitement and a lot of tension, and I think it's bringing a lot of attention to the Scottish game, which is great.
That's why people want to come to games, isn't it? Because they mean something.
Yeah, and speaking of the Scottish game, you see Liverpool last night with two lads who 5-6 years ago Andy Robertson was playing amateur football. 3-4 years ago Virgil van Dijk was coming in the door at Celtic, and they're a great product of the game up here, and now they're going to be playing in the Champions League final. So there's not a lot wrong with the Scottish game as the perception from outside looking in is, and I wish that those two lads the very, very best. They've done themselves really proud.
You've been on the phone for Joe yet, try and get some tickets?
No. I'll get on to Kenny if I need any. Sit in the VIP.
Any ins or out for Saturday, team-wise?
Well, we're still a bit worried of Dylan, and him getting sort of accustomed to the mask. So we'll see how he's feeling about it over the next 24 hours. Danny Swanson, he didn't train today. He's got a bit of a virus which seems to be following us around at the minute. So we'll see how Danny is tomorrow. But as for the rest of them, we've got more or less a full complement of players, which is great.
David Gray?
Dave's back training, yeah. But the only thing with David is he hasn't played any competitive games, even development-wise. But I don't think that's necessary now for David, and he just needs to keep training with the first team, and he'll be in around it in the next 2 or 3 games.